Hello everybody, how's everybody doing today? Naughty Nana Des here. How you doing? Are you doing alright? You're looking good, just saying. Anyway, it's Thursday, so Thursdays always means it's time to take out the trash, right? I would just ask y'all if you're going to be watching this. It's going to be a little bit of a long one, so cheers dears, gotta have a wee cuppa. So as long as you got a cuppa, we're going to be okay. So let's get this party started, shall we? Newcomers, welcome. Hangers on, you're the reason why I've been hanging on this long on this channel. And we're doing fabulous, aren't we? Because it's thanks to you guys. It really is. Because if it wasn't for you guys liking me, loving me, sharing me, I wouldn't be anywhere near where I am. And I really appreciate each and every one of you. So, garbage day today is going to be about, I have chosen Shay D Pants. That's right. Now this guy is the epitome of slime, I must say. He was one of those guys, well, is one of those guys, because he's not gone yet. But he's one of those guys that will look you straight in your eyes with that big phony fecking grin on his face that, you know, the big smile commercials they have? Yeah. Yeah, he'll give you that smile, telling you exactly what you want to hear, with eyes as dead and as empty as Chucky's. And then he pulls out that instrument and he will plant it between your shoulder blades, all while still flashing you that nice big smile. His pearly whites there. Now, have you ever noticed that he's awkward as hell? And I swear, he was never socialized properly as a child. He really wasn't. So he made shit up and disparaged the very people that helped him get elected. Well, vote-wise anyway. He is at the very least a slick opportunist, and at the worst, Satan. His selfishness is blatantly evident. He wrote the Hillbilly Elegy. Remember that? Turns out, he just did it to lord it over the very people that he says he's from. He wanted to lord it over the Appalachians. And he says, this is from the book, I believe. He says it is a story of childhood anguish, which I learned to tell through words. Well, what else would you tell it with? Only knowing silence was a tool for survival. No, you're just a tool. His mom was an addict, but he did have a loving grandmother who raised him. And he was raised in a religious home like they most are down there in the Bible Belt. But he apparently had a very open Memo for that area in that time, I'm thinking anyway. So he came out to her. He came out gay to her as a teenager. And with all her Southern Bible Belt knowledge and all the rest of stuff, you know what she told him? She told him, that's okay, because God will still love you. Not God will love you anyway. No, God will always love you. At least one of them had values, right? Since he basically told all those low-income families in Appalachia to pull themselves up by the bootstraps, he's gotten less than a positive review ever since. So when he ran for senator and going back on his hillbilly elegy stuff, his book made a second coming, I guess you could call it, because it was back on store shelves again. But it was getting less than positive reviews. And one person, and I'll tell you who she is in a minute, said, those of us who grew up mired in poverty, surrounded by addiction, these systemic problems feel like being trapped in quicksand. Feels like being trapped in quicksand that only wants to pull you further into despair. There are no boots, nor bootstraps, no solid ground to get your footing, when each day is a struggle for survival. And that was from Time Magazine's Roni Conn, C-O-N-N, July 25th, 2024. She is a Kentucky author of memoirs and fiction, and her latest novel, Someplace Like Home, is about women growing up in Appalachia and rural America because she knows something about it. You write what you know, you don't fill in shit. So anyway, he ended up going to law school, had a variety of people he hung out with in university. That's where he met U.S.A., his wife, probably his first and only girlfriend, just saying. And he had many gay, lesbian, and transgender friends in university. They all hung out together. They all had a really good time. But he has gone by many names since he tried to make himself famous. He's sort of like George Santos. You know, George Anthony Zabrowski, DeVolder, Katera, Lavish. Yeah, Shay D Pants has gone by a few names. I don't know if he was just trying them out or what the hell, but yeah, 3 or 4 names he's gone by. But he has since graduated from Ohio State. Did he wrestle? Just asking, curious minds and all. And he got a law degree from Yale Law School. And so did U.S.A., obviously, because she's a lawyer in a very famed law office, but she had to quit because of. But anyway, and he worked very briefly, like for a minute, as a lawyer and a Senate aide. That's one way to climb that ladder, isn't it? So I guess there was a meeting with Peter Thiel somewhere along the line, and bang. There he was, a venture capitalist, went to school for law. He didn't do very well in his first attempt, and Peter Thiel gave him a second chance. Peter Thiel's also an apartheid, in my opinion, my desperate opinion here, an apartheid supporter. He got a second chance from apartheid boy number 2, because number 1 is Elon Musk. But no, that didn't work out either. He wasn't well liked, and he didn't do a very good job. So Peter said, "Oh, I know. You should be a politician." So he ran for Senate, and Peter Thiel coughed up something like, I don't know, was it $35 million or something he gave him to run? And introduced him to all the right people in all the right circles. And that was how he won his Senate seat in 2023. And MAGA, his MAGA seat, remember that? His ass kissing began in earnest, because I believe when he first got elected, remember he was going on saying things like Trump was America's Hitler, he was a never Trumper, the guy was a liar, he couldn't trust anything come out of his mouth, and all of a sudden he's a senator, Peter Thiel and all those people in Heritage. Yeah, now he's a Trump licker now. Yeah, he is. I believe that started as soon as he was elected, and he followed that MAGA script word for word right from the day he said, I'm going to take an oath, but it's my own. I'll just make up whatever the hell I like, because that's what it seems like he's doing. But I believe that started as soon as he was elected, and followed that squirt word for word, dropped all the right taglines to all the right-wing media stations, Fox included. You know, that Trump was the best president we've ever had in history, and Trump alone can fix all this mess that the Marxist, leftist, communist, fascist left behind and bankrupt our country, and we have the worst job. Yeah. He started hanging out with Trump folks like Don Jr., Maggie Trader, and he sucked his way all the way to Mar-a-Lago and that crowd. You know, David Sachs, who donated $1 million, Elon Musk, Josh Hawley, you know, all the stars, Mike Lee. Remember Nightmare on Wall Street, Mike Lee? Yeah. Tom Cotton, Chip Roy, and Marco Rubio, just to name drop a few. And then he was chosen for Mango Moose Knuckles vice president. Then his arrogance and his vile behavior took a huge dose of steroids, didn't it? Because he went from just this guy to evil personified. And through all of this, nobody saw or even heard too much about his wife or his 3 beautiful brown children. Most of America, MAGA America, saw her for the first time at the RNC gala. You know, that was the one with the panty liner on the ear. Yeah, that's the first time they laid eyes on her, because they don't do any research or anything. And all they could think of, some booed her, flat out booed her, and others like, oh, she's brown? And she's a vegetarian? She's a vegan? Oh yeah, they lost their shit over that. And some of in attendance were openly hostile. And that was just an indication of things to come, because JD Vance never once stood up and said, excuse me, but that's my wife. I would like you to show her a little respect. He never said one word of that. Can imagine what was like in the hotel room that night. But she was all but ignored on Inauguration Day. Did you see that? Yeah, she was ignored like a Democrat. And then the move to the Vice President's official residence at the U.S. Naval Observatory. They were the 50th occupant of that position, and they have been in office 7 months and have taken, count them, 8 paid family vacations. 8. How many do you get a year? Maybe a week? Some are lucky enough to get 2 weeks paid vacation. No, most people in the United States, they haven't heard of paid vacation, most people. They save up that whole year for that 1 week vacation. No sick time leave either. So remember way back early on, they had that trip to Vermont that went over like a lead fart, let me tell you. Wasn't well received. And that was supposed to be that, and the working family vacation they were taking to Greenland. Remember that? It was supposed to be a family vacation. It turned out to be a 3-hour tour. You know, the weather started getting rough. The little ship was tossing. A 3-hour tour. That's what that Greenland trip turned out to be. Then there was the Italian job, you know, when Vance went to the Vatican, and the next thing you know, the Pope was unalived. Yeah. While they were in Italy, however, they were supposed to go to the Colosseum, so they closed the Colosseum for the day, so the Vances could have a private family tour. But you know, the hitch to that was the Vances never showed up. So people that had planned their vacation for weeks, months, a year in advance and had tickets and everything else couldn't go because of that selfish little prick. Just saying. So then came India, and I mean, sure, Air Force 2 was all gassed up and ready to go. Why leave it on the tarmac when you can take your Indian wife to India for a paid family vacation, where some of her family still is? Nice, isn't it? Family is a wonderful thing. All free, too, because taxpayers paid for that. And Disneyland in Anaheim. All while his boss loaded up the city with 4,000 National Guard, 700 of active duty Marines, and thousands of ICE agents, and American citizens being disappeared off the street. He thought this would be an excellent time to go to Los Angeles and Anaheim, and he chose that theme park for his private, overindulgent visit. Talk about insult to injury. They emptied the park for that day too. So, bunch of little kids that were promised a day at Disneyland didn't get it because him and his kids got it. And then there was the trip to Scotland, where he got to play golf at Turnberry and stay at a $4,000 a week mansion. And his entourage put everybody in that town out because they took over everything. And not even so much of his thank you, kiss my ass, goodbye, nothing. And then he had to go kayaking for his birthday on the Ohio River, and he had the Army Corps of Engineers actually raise the water levels so it would be easier for him to kayak up that river for an easier experience, right? More enjoyable. Don't have to exert yourself. And this is the same guy that rallies against the elites and their overindulgence and taking stuff for nothing. Change your tune real good when it's coming to your plate, right? And finally, there was the Cotswolds in England. He got an upgrade to a $10,000 a week sprawling mansion again. He was not welcomed. All of these trips, local police that were already stretched way too thin had to work double to protect his sorry ass. He's rude and lacks any value to America. He does nothing. He's the vice president. He is a figurehead. He does whatever Trump wants, including licking boots. He's very good at that. And apparently he had a couple visits with some folks, but he wasn't well received by any of them. I think even Keir Starmer just sort of went, oh, fuck, do we have to see him today? That's what I'm pretty sure happened to there. Now, he lacks any value, and he treated President Zelensky like a piece of shit on his shoe when he showed up to see what they were going to do about Russia back in February. Remember that? He was the first one to get his digs in there. So, in my opinion, for entertainment purposes only, that little backstabber met with the Murdochs in Montana, or the Dakotas, or wherever the hell it was, some big hunt camp they got up there. It's probably like a 30,000 square foot mansion. And they had a discussion, not just about the birthday card nudie that Trump was supposed to have sent to Epstein. I think instead they had a discussion about the 25th Amendment, and conversation sort of like, so hey, Shady, you want the big job? Just happen to have a couple of bucks and some influential people that can help you get that. Just saying. You know, and I bet you there was a few heritage people there too. Wink, wink. And then there was the private dinner that was supposed to happen at the vice president's mansion residence, whatever. Also, in my opinion, entertainment purposes only, allegedly, to discuss the 25th Amendment. Oh, and that little Epstein hide-and-seek game that they seem to be playing out in the open. But Trump found out somehow, and that meeting got transferred to the White House, so the Trumpster could be in on it, and there would be no talk of a 25th Amendment or how to get him out. So, I think Little P is on his way out anyway. I don't think he's going to be around past Halloween. In my opinion only, entertainment purposes only, allegedly, I don't think that man's looking too well, right from his swollen ankles to the big bruises that he's still covering up on the back of his hands from shaking hands too much. I don't know what hands he's shaking, but anyway, yeah, he's looking pasty. He can't walk a straight line. Did you see him on the red carpet in Alaska with Putin, who wasn't the Putin? I don't know. But anyway, I don't think he couldn't walk a straight line, Trump. And I don't think JD does straight either, just saying. But Trump keeps bringing up heaven and his mortality more often than not. Have you noticed? Even they asked Carol Lying there in the press room, and she's going, oh yeah, he wants to go to heaven. Yeah. So I think doctors have told him something that he's not telling the rest of you. Maybe something like get your affairs in order, if you get my drift. So Shady the opportunity is just licking his lips and any other stuff for that top job. And I hope to hell, if he gets it, that he cancels that $200 million East Wing ballroom, gets rid of the pool furniture out in the cement plot that they got in the backyard, and all the faux gold shite that makes the White House look like an old bordello. And just so you know, Kamala Harris, when she was vice president for those 4 years, she took this many vacations. None. Zero. Zip. She took no vacations. So, JD, you are an opportunistic, elitist bastard. Naughty Nana loves you very much. Take care of everybody else. And if you don't have a smile, I'm sure somebody will give you one, especially one of my people on here. So yeah, dig deep. If you see someone without a smile, give them one of yours. And please, be good to you first so you can be good to somebody else. I told you this was going to be a long one. I really did. Love me, like me, share me, and don't forget to subscribe. Hangers on, always in my heart. Take care of you.